But anyway, good morning once again. My name is Ramona Chapman, and I'd like to welcome you to our Faith Leader Prayer Breakfast. In fact, it is entitled the Check Your Heart Faith Leaders Prayer Breakfast, as we are in the process of preparing for National Donor Sabbath weekend, which is next weekend, the weekend of November 11th, 12th, and 13th. And so we are just excited to have you here. I am the program director for our public education, community relations, and our MOTEP program at Gifts of Life, Michigan. And so I am just excited and elated to welcome you here. So if you know me, then you already know that faith has a very significant part of who I am. And I believe that our lives are not compartmentalized. Our lives are just one continuum. And so therefore, this Faith Leaders Breakfast is something that is very important to us. And so on behalf of our CEO, Dory Dills, I'd like to say welcome and thank you so much once again for joining us here on today. And of course, to thank our partners, the Interfaith Leadership Council, of which we have the chair of the Leadership Council, Reverend Stancy Adams. Stancy, I was just gonna leave it alone, so I'm gonna have to wave at me now. Here with us, as well as the National Kidney Foundation of Michigan. We're always glad to have you here with us. And so exactly what do we want to do today? Well, what we want to do today is what we know is that as faith leaders, you are a catalyst in motivating people to think about and to do and to take action in very personal and intimate parts of their lives. And so as a result of that, we believe that having this Interfaith Leadership Breakfast encourages persons of all faith traditions to join in with us in promoting the message of our new campaign entitled Check Your Heart. And I would also be remiss if I do see another partner out here, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, that is a partner throughout the year. And so I just want to say once again, thank you. So I'm going to have all of my Gifts of Life Michigan people just to give away. There's Tanya, who I want to give a shout out to for organizing. Tanya, Shalonda Griffin, who is not here, as well as Tanisha and Autumn and Jennifer. I almost want to say Artivia because we work her so hard. I think sometimes she's employed by Gifts of Life Michigan and the Motel Foundation as well. But earlier this year, we launched a campaign entitled Check Your Heart. And that campaign basically has two simple messages. One is that over the years, that the driver's license has become a visual symbol of persons documenting their wish to become organ and tissue donors. And so as a result of that, we said, well, what can we do to let people know that this is the symbol that we really want you to have? And so many people would say, well, I already think I'm on the Michigan Organ Donor Registry. And so that's a very wonderful intro. Pull out your driver's license. Check your license. If you have a heart symbol on the right corner of your license, then yes, you are on the Michigan Organ Donor Registry. If not, then we encourage you to sign up on the Michigan Organ Donor Registry. And we're so fancy now that we have a QR code. All you have to do is just scan it. It will take you to a place where you can sign up. The other thing is that they don't have a heart on their driver's license, and they haven't thought about it. To really check your heart, why? That what we know is that we are all loving and altruistic people, that we want to make a difference in the lives of others. And so we have been so designed that we can give and share. And so as a result of that, to check your heart and to see why you have not signed up. And then after doing that personal reflection, hopefully taking it a step further and signing up on the Michigan Organ Donor Registry. We have a wonderful goal to have at least 1 million additional people sign up on the registry by 2026. Jennifer almost choked on her baby. But what we know is that we cannot do that alone. And Gifts of Life Michigan is not designed to work alone. It is designed to work with community, with partnership, to ensure that we're in this together. And so with that, I just want to say that, again, welcome. I'll share a quick milestone with you. For nationally, we have had over 1 million transplants this year. I mean, it's not this year, over the course of the donation process. So we celebrated that milestone of 1 million transplants. So that's great, right? And it'll be easy just to think that it's only been 1 million people, but it's been 1 million families that have benefited, and countless others that have benefited as a result of those 1 million transplants. So we encourage you to join with us to move this message forward. And so with that, I am going to introduce our MC, who is Artelia Griggs. She is a phenomenal person. As I said earlier, she works with us so much. Sometimes I know she thinks she's employed by it, but Artelia is a member of the Michigan Donor Family Council. She is the secretary of Detroit Motet Foundation's board of directors. She is a Gift of Life Michigan volunteer. And she is also the first vice chairperson of Hartford Memorial Baptist Church's diaconate ministry. So she is a person that lives out her faith in all different things. And I'll let Artelia tell her story. But again, welcome, and Artelia, it's all yours.
Thank you, my friend. One day I'll ask for a paycheck. But not today. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. As Ramona says, I am Artelia Griggs. I am so honored to be the MC for this morning's breakfast. I want to thank you all for being here this morning, and I hope most of you are still enjoying your breakfast, but I also hope that you will be inspired by the program today. So just a little bit about me, along with being a supporter of donation, I am also a donor mom. My daughter Angela passed away in November of 2010 from an asthma attack. And I can say that she was truly the love of my life. And although she was only 38 years old, she lived a full and active life. She has this huge personality. I could talk on and on about it, but you would be her best friend before you knew it. She was kind, caring, and generous. And when she passed, she was a registered organ, tissue, and eye donor, and she gave the most generous gift of all. Her gifts of corneas, heart valves, bone, and skin tissue have enhanced the lives of over 55 people. Wow. But that tragic event turned into gifts of life and gifts of love. And I am so proud of Angela's generous and selfless act of love. Following her passing and her donation, I decided to support and promote a cause that she contributed to. So it's in memory and in honor of Angela that I am a board member of Detroit Motet Foundation and the Michigan Donor Family Council. Also a volunteer for Gift of Life and a member of the Donor Family Advisory Committee. And I hope that my work through these organizations help to guide other donor families through the struggle of losing a loved one, but having given a great gift. And I feel confident that my promotion of organ, eye, and tissue donation has helped in promoting the awareness of donation and also in increasing the number of registrants on the Michigan Donor Registry. And I know that I honor Angela's memory and keep her spirit alive as I tell her story. So to begin our program, we'd like to share a video with you. The video is entitled A Matter of Faith. It addresses a common question among many people. Does my religion support organ, tissue, and eye donation? A matter of faith.
We have more in common than we often realize.
While similarities can be seen in
We have more in common than we often realize.
Those similarities can be seen in so many beautiful ways.
But it all begins with that little beat that we have inside.
It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are,
Or what faith you follow.
The same sound rings inside of all of us.
All of us.
All of us.
Of all of us.
It begins in childhood.
Where we are taught to love and appreciate our families.
things as simple as helping our parents prepare dinner,
Shoveling snow when it's freezing cold outside.
Keeping our bedrooms clean.
telling our families that we love them.
Even helping our siblings finish their homework.
We grow to become great leaders and neighbors.
Lending support to our communities through empathy,
Respect.
And caring.
And a lot of smiles along the way.
but one day, that beat we cherish so deeply
Will grow more faint.
Until it stops.
Nothing fully prepares you to lose a loved one.
It's in these moments when we're the most confused, the most saddened.
And it's crucial that we lean on the lessons of our faith.
In those lessons, you will be reminded
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
You are not alone.
there's still hope, love,
And so much life to share.
you have that opportunity to share that gift with the world.
Through organ and tissue donation.
With your support and trust, we can change the lives of so many in our community.
and we're here to tell you that it's okay to make this donation.
As people of faith,
As people of color,
Organ and tissue donation is part of our beliefs.
it's okay.
It's okay.
Together, we can break the stigma
together we can break the stigma
and let our loved ones live on through the gift of life.
Through the gift of life.
The gift of life.
Amen.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Amen.
Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
Ameen.
O Lord, our King, who gives us faith in life. Amen.
Profound. And now we're going to have our prayer of healing that will be offered this morning by Imam Muhammad Ali Alahi. Eli. Thank you. He is the spiritual leader of the Islamic House of Wisdom in Dearborn Heights, and which is one of the largest religious institutions in the state of Michigan. The Imam is a powerful public speaker, a peace advocate, and an interfaith leader in North America. And he's been working passionately to build bridges of unity and brotherhood among followers of faith traditions. And in addition to his seminary studies in Iran, he received a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Michigan and a Master of Arts degree from Wayne State University. He was introduced to the West in 1986 when he traveled to London for a year of language and Western culture studies in Britain. And in August of 1990, he was invited to the World Religious Assembly held in San Francisco, California. Following that conference, the Muslim community in Dearborn asked him to join the Islamic Center of America to serve the community. He moved to Michigan in September of 1991 and served as the religious leader of ICOA until 1995. As the community grew, Imam Ilahi established the Islamic House of Wisdom and became the spiritual leader. The Islamic House of Wisdom's mission is summarized in 6 words: faith, education, justice, compassion, outreach, and action. We will now have the prayer of healing.
Salam, good morning, peace, and thank you, Pastor Stanley, for giving me this opportunity to be with our brothers and sisters and friends, and thank you, Abdullah, for your words that I hope I observed part of it. And by the way, this Imam who was in this video, Imam Khalil, he was part of Muslim Center in Detroit, and he passed away a few months ago. Oh, this is so right. Yeah, such a wonderful man. He was part of the Imam's Council in Michigan, and he was a chaplain going to the prisons, and such a sincere man, always talking from his heart, and he was a great example for all of us, really. This man was amazing. Once he came to my office and said, I like your rings, and I gave him one of my rings, and he kept it. Anytime he sees me, shows me the ring, and such a wonderful angel. But this is life. من أجل ذلك كتبنا على بني إسرائيل أنه من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا ومن أحياها فقد أحيا الناس جميعا. This is a verse from chapter 5, verse 32, chapter 5 in the Quran. That chapter called Ma'idah, Al-Ma'idah. Ma'idah in Arabic is a table full of food. And the reason this chapter is called Ma'idah, food table, is the story that I wonder if it is mentioned also in the Bible or not, that some disciples asked Jesus that, why you don't ask God to send us special food from heaven? And Jesus told them, have some fear for God. I mean, what kind of demand? Another word is telling you, the guys that God already sent me from heaven is not enough for you. Now you're looking for some food from heaven. I mean, what's that? But then they ask you to pray. And he said, God, just show them some sign. Look like they're looking for food festival now. And please. And it happened. The table came, and now we are approaching Thanksgiving. I don't know what was in that table of food from heaven. Whether it was a turkey or taco or tabbouleh or whatever. We don't know the content of that table of food. But whatever it was, God told Jesus that, okay, it's done, but tell them that if still denying me and rejecting the sign of God, then be really ready for a big punishment, because there is no any other excuse for you to reject the truth. You already have Jesus from heaven, and then you say, oh, we want our stomach to be full, then our hearts be certain. Okay, that is done too. What else? That would be like an exceptional punishment if you deny after this exceptional favor that God told you. Now, this verse is in that chapter, Ma'idah, and it's saying that we already told the children of Israel that destruction of one life equals the destruction of all lives. And saving one life equals saving all lives, because it is about life. And when you save one, you save the concept of life, and that matters. I searched on Google charity. The result was amazing. How many times charity mentioned just online, articles, books, lectures. 1,200,000,000 times. That is the result I found online of importance of charity. The Quran says that you cannot find the road to righteousness except you give and share of the things that you love. Sometimes we don't use our clothes, and secondly, and we think, oh, we are doing a big charity to give it to the mosque or a church, but we don't love that clothes anymore. Quran says to share from what you really love. That matters. Then there is a hadith from one of our imams, Imam Sadiq, that is a family member of the Prophet Muhammad. That he says, you want to know if you are one of the people of paradise? There are 4 signs for residents of heaven. He said, number 1, wajhun munbasit, to have smiling face. Lisanul latif, a soft tongue. You talk, your tongue is soft. And qalbun rahim, a merciful heart. And yadun mu'tiyah means a giving hand. One of the stories of Bible that is one of my favorite stories in the Bible is in Matthew, that guy came to Jesus and said that, show me how I can get the eternal life. So Jesus said, go ahead and follow 10 commandments. So I already done that. Like, you kind of a little arrogance here that is this nothing you are telling me. I already did this. Then Jesus humbled this guy and said, then if you want to really be perfect, 100% perfect, okay, go and give up whatever. He knew that he's a very rich guy. He said, to sell everything, every property that you have, just sell it and help the poor. I looked at Jesus and he said, oh, this is too much. What kind of this? And got quiet and gradually disappeared. That Jesus then mentioned something that means that those who worship this world, they shouldn't expect to be residents of heaven if someone is worshiping the world rather than the Lord. Then world is all he gets. That's what he wants and he gets it. So don't expect anything more than what you were looking for. I checked online that is over 100,000 people waiting in the United States for transplant. So that is online. I'm not sure if this is exact number, but this is a huge number. And I found that in Michigan, 2,300 people are waiting for transplant. And out of this, almost 17 people die because they do not. And charity is not an only check. I know is and treasure, right? These are three stuff mentioned in the church. but sometimes also charity deeds and our action. We at the House of Wisdom, since we established almost 1995, 27 years ago, every year we have blood donation, more than once a year, a couple of times or sometimes 3 times a year. We offer blood donation because with one blood donation, I heard that we can save 3 lives. That's how important it is that we consider this as part of our preaching, the mosque, in churches, synagogues, reminding, as you mentioned, the awareness and education about this subject. There is a verse in the Quran that Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. It is an order from Allah. It is a commandment from our Creator. 2 things: generosity and justice. These organ donations or blood donations represent generosity, but we know that that cannot fix all the problems. Generosity is very important. It's a very holy virtue, but we also need justice in this world to fix all these problems. We are asking for organ donations, while during all these wars and violence, people are losing organs. They are losing their hands, losing legs and eyes and ears and nose and cheek and chin. I mean, the tragedy of Ukraine, for example, now is just crazy. It's just hurt our hearts to hear these people. They're dying for nothing. I mean, those men, women, children, really innocent people. Somebody else is in the business of blood, but then those innocent people are paying the price for that. And unfortunately, nobody even talking about peace or saying, at least have a ceasefire. Stop it. At least a ceasefire. Stop. And you see how the politics working, that they're both sides are Christians, right? Both talking about Jesus now. And some of them are the similar denominations. This situation, we will see just in my back country, Iran, just a few days ago, the guy from ISIS went to a shrine and put a bomb in the shrine, in a mosque, that people were praying. And over 70 men, women, and children were killed or wounded because of shooting of this criminal. And he does it in the name of God. He thinks by doing that he is going to go to heaven. So the problem that we need to pray a lot for healing from this ignorance that exists, and especially when ignorance becomes holy, it's even more dangerous. The victims of holy ignorance in human history, just amazing. Somebody else is greedy, but using those ignorance in the name of religion, and they don't know who put this thing in their mind to go and kill innocent people. So we pray for healing as we pray for peace. And it's amazing that a prayer of Jesus in the Quran, that Quran quotes some of the prayers of Jesus. And one of the most powerful prayer of Jesus is the time that he prayed for peace. He said, وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وَلِدْتُ ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا. May peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I will die, and the day I will be raised to life again. That is our prayer to God, to help us and help our world with peace, that we can live peacefully next to each other, a peaceful existence, and even our death be a peaceful death. That is our prayer, that is our hope, and that is our healing. Since peace is one of the names of God, one of the most beautiful names of God is As-Salam. You are peace, and peace is coming from you. You are the source of peace, and you are the provider of peace, oh God. We ask you for peace for our family, for our neighbors, for our community, for our country, and for the world. Amen. By the way, I invited Reverend Spency for we have a dinner tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for the House of Wisdom. That's something we have it every 6 months. It's a fundraising dinner except for interfaith. So you can have your complimentary seat in our dinner tomorrow in Dearborn. It's not in the mosque, it's in the Greenfield Manor. So whoever interested, please let Reverend Stancy know about that. So we'll see you tomorrow. So before Thanksgiving, we are going to have an introduction to Thanksgiving. Peace be upon you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iman Elahi, for inspiring us, for educating us this morning, and for praying for us.
Yes,
God bless you.
yes.
Our first partner spotlight will come from the National Kidney Foundation of Michigan. Cynthia Nichols Jackson is registered nurse and program coordinator in patient services for the National Kidney Foundation of Michigan. She received her nursing degree from the University of Michigan and her master's in nursing from Walden University. Her role involved patient calls and training dialysis and transplant patients. She is the coordinator for the Chronic Kidney Failure Internship Program, the annual Sports Therator Scholarship Program, and she conducts annual community health fairs and screenings. Cynthia has an enthusiastic passion for teaching kidney health and promoting healthy self-management skills to the community at large. Please welcome Cynthia Nichols Jackson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the community being here, the mission that is at the hand, and let me introduce you a little bit more to the National Kidney Foundation. Thank you for my introduction personally, and let me again give you my story of why I am a part of this great cause. In 1986, I was graduated from nursing school, and the next morning after the ceremony, I couldn't get out of bed. After that, I found out within 3 months that I had lupus. 2 years later, I found out that the kidney was starting to fail. 20 years into experimental beds and all types of ways that they wanted to see how we could slow the progression of my failure. I then, in 2004, had to go on dialysis. I was not happy. I was definitely kicking and fighting. I was going to my pastor, to counseling and all. Because end-stage renal disease is no joke. So with that said, in my dialysis times, a friend of mine had a dream. She had the dream in March. We hadn't seen each other in a year or so. She knew I had lupus, but she had this dream. And she said in her dream, she actually donated a kidney to me. I didn't know this. She told her husband, but she didn't tell me. I saw her in July at my home when we had a gathering, and she shared with me. She said, I had this strange dream that I was giving you a kidney. And I was like, what? I said, did you know I was on dialysis now? She's like, no. Wow. And she said, what do we need to do? I said, you really want to give me your kidney? She said, yes. She said, this has to be a message from God. Absolutely. This is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. So what do we need to do? Sure enough, after that, she did. She gave me her kidney. And I'm blessed to be here to stand with that. So that was my living donor. That kidney took me through for 9 years. I actually got my master's in June of 2014. Not knowing that in 2014, December 30th, around my birthday, that the kidney would fail. I then went back on dialysis. I didn't have a job, but I had a master's degree. And I was like, I'm a nurse, I got a master's degree, and I'm so sick sitting in this chair. I can't do anything. I had been in a study earlier in 14, where National Kidney Foundation had a study to say kidney patients too can give their organs. Kidney patients too could become a donor and put our heart on our license. Kidney patients too is what we as dialysis and kidney patients went to different dialysis units to share with those that was in the chair. Sign up. I know you think that you take too many medicines, that you're so sick on having a kidney failure, but did you know your bones can be used, your tissues can be used, you can save people's lives. Your heart's not involved. If whatever tissues or whatever organs can be saved upon your attack, it's to the benefit of the whole. So do this, sign up, sign up. Sure enough, in 15, I then got a call from the facilitator of that particular study I was in. Said, I've heard you was looking for a job. So we'd like you to come to the National Kidney Foundation, Michigan, and work. So here I had a job, and I'm sitting in the chair. 3 hours, 3 times a week, getting my kidneys cleared. And I shared that upon getting hired. And I said, but I'm on dialysis. I'm too weak at times. I can't do it full time. They said, then do it part time. And who best would understand your condition than the National Kidney Foundation? Yes. So with that, I was weak, and I still had to go on my days. I had to go sit in that chair. But on other days, I became a coordinator. As you heard in my bio, I'm the coordinator for patient services. I take patient calls. I'm the one that gets the call that says, I've just been diagnosed. I'm angry. What happened? Nobody told me this was going to happen. What am I supposed to do? I lost my job because, and I love father of this particular family. Now I was making 85,000, and now they tell me I gotta go on disability, and my check is $841. How am I supposed to take care of my kids? How am I gonna be the breadwinner? Where are the resources? What's education? What does the kidney do? How can I be able to survive? I hate going to dialysis. How can I do it? Everybody wants to know my business about what happened to me. I don't look well. I'm swollen. I'm vomiting. I am not well. I don't know anything about this. Nobody talks to me. My doctor just said, you are not going on dialysis. He didn't give me an education. What am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to eat? And telling me I can't drink so much. What am I supposed to do with that? How am I supposed to live? I'm telling you, you don't want to get here. You think that we're being controlled by the environment? You think we're being controlled because of justice and justice is not for us? Let me tell you, when your body doesn't work well, when your body does not work well, and you look at news about who's shooting who, you are alive or dead all in one time. But you can go on. You can live on. There are programs that we have at the National Kidney Foundation that can show you how to live with a chronic illness. Self-management is like you have to take a hold of yourself and be able to make it. You have to take a hold of yourself if things go on and you're on dialysis. There is hope. Because I had to do another 5 years of dialysis, and I took it home and did it in my home with the care of my husband. To then receive my second transplant in 2020 during COVID. This time for a cadaver. This time for one of those persons that signed up. That little heart. I now live with my second kidney transplant. I'm very active, I'm very passionate. I go out and I talk to communities. I come to any kind of organization that wants to hear my story. My passion is to tell people you can make it. By the Spirit of God, I give God all the glory. All the glory. Because I want you to stand here. I know He also gave me a blessing, and my talent and my gift is nursing. So I give people, when they call me, I tell them, I say, I'm a patient, so I know what it's like to sit in that chair. I know what it's like to live that life. I also am a patient to know what the responsibilities of that transplant. That's a gift. That's a gift from God. You get the vaccines, you get whatever it takes to take care of that gift. I also know as a nurse, physiologically, what's needed to know and why you eat certain things so that you can have the right potassiums, the right phosphorus, the right sodiums, and chemicals in your body the correct way. But I also give a compassion of knowing, yes, it's very painful. Yes, it's very hurtful. Yes, you are not the same breadwinner that you were before. Yes, you don't want to get stuck with the needles. Yes, you're going to have complications. Yes, you're going to get up and have to sit in that chair when it's 0 degrees outside, but you have to struggle to get up to get into it. Yes, but through it all, you will make it. If your mind says, and your Lord says, you will make it. Don't sit there, don't take it, ask for education, ask for whatever you need so that you can go forward and show others. Yes, I can dress it up, but you don't know that I have a very serious illness. So with that said, it's what I do under the mission of the National Kidney Foundation. It says that they're here to help prevent the kidney disease by classes and services. and also give quality of life to those that live here. We have programs and things so that you know, as the minister said, the facts are that greater than 1 million people. I mean, 1 million people? I mean, we don't even have a full room in here. Can you do the concept of 1 million people? And sitting in rows and rows and rows of chairs of dialysis. We're really failing you. We're failing in how to help. We're eating this garbage. Our soil is not healthy. We need to look at that. We need to help fight that. We need to promote more about these people helping other people. Help people in those chairs to get those transplants. Help them to know that those who are waiting, we have programs. We have programs such as something called PATH. PATH stands for Personal Action Towards Health. That particular program is a self-management program, which then talks about how do I live with what I have? How do I problem solve? How do I work with my doctor? What am I supposed to take? How am I going to be committed to taking my medicines? How do I do my diet correctly? What is my mindset? What is my mindset? Let's talk about it. And talk about it in a small group. It's a 6 and an 8-week program that you can go through virtually or in person. Those programs are for both diabetes, which is the #1 cause of kidney failure. The second one is with hypertension, is the second cause. We actually have a whole program designed just for high blood pressure, since it's a silent disease. It's a whole session that talks about what signs you might have. Well, how can you change your diet? You know, what can you do so that you don't become that statistic? We have programs on diabetes prevention, so that if you're those that's been talked about, the doctor says you're on the border or you're pre-diabetic, we have courses. It's an actual 1-year program, and we walk with you to change your life, to help you cook differently, to help you to lose weight, how to manage your medicines, what to do in order not to cross the blue line that says you are a diabetic. So we have that. We want you to know that we have many services. I don't want to give more at this time. We have a table on the side. That's our information so that we can be able to explain it more thoroughly. We're looking at your organizations, the partners that are here, just like Gift of Life. We're looking at some of our programs. If you can have it at your institution, at your places of worship, at your organizations, honor some of these classes for your participants, your customers, your parishioners. Because if we don't work together as a community to help save us all, it's not an announcement with this kidney disease. It doesn't knock on your door and say, hello, I'm here. By the time it knocks on your door, you are in the ER, you can't urinate, you vomiting, you're swollen, you have all kinds of complications. We want to stop that. So please think about having some of these programs at your organization to be able to save your customer, your parishioner, because that's what this is going to do. This is saying you bring us in to help to train and teach them. Education is something they don't have. Awareness is they don't have. It's not coming across on the television. It's not coming across unless you read it on Facebook and you get on that particular side, because it's not a commercial. So we're dying on the vine. It's up to us to make the decision to help one another, one another, one another. as the minister said, it's in the heart. Give. Have peace. Don't just brush this off. Don't just throw off our information today. We're here for donating life. We're here to save lives and prevention. And it's up to us to get it out there. As many of us can. I think.
Wow. You look great, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we want to welcome Vicki Figueroa to bring us the power of the prayer of faith and peace. Vicki has lived in the Detroit area for 30 years. She is a native of Youngstown, Ohio, and is currently the Associate Director for Cultural Ministries and Black Catholic Ministries for the Archdiocese of Detroit, where she does outreach to African American and Native American communities. She has worked in the pharmaceutical and healthcare industries in sales and marketing for several years, and she's also worked as an account executive for radio station WJR AM and WMYD TV2 for a combined 7 years. She has an undergraduate degree from Youngstown State University and a master's degree from Sacred Heart Major Seminary in Detroit, as well as postgraduate training in ministry. She is a member of Corpus Christi Catholic Church on the city's northwest side and is on the development committee for Detroit's People's Food Co-op. In her downtime, she likes to take long walks in one of the metro parks, the Riverwalk. I've probably seen you, or around her neighborhood. Vicki will now offer the prayer of faith and peace.
Yeah, based on a lot of the prayers that were given today, a lot of prayer of faith and prayer of peace was already given. So I'm going to talk a little bit about different things, but the first thing I want to do is tell you about my transplant experience. I am a transplant recipient. I received a brand new heart on July 24th of 2021. So it has been about a year and 4 months, and it's interesting. You know, God works in mysterious ways, not our ways, not ways that we understand, but He works in His ways. It was 2 days before my birthday.
Wow.
So basically, I received my birthday is July 26th. I received the heart on July 24th, and I pretty much, after they, put me, to sleep, I didn't wake up or wasn't conscious, I should say, for about 5 days. Once they did try to wake me up, and my body didn't want to breathe, so they put me back to sleep, and then they brought me out of my coma around my medically induced coma.
Correct.
I think it was July 28th, 29th. So they let me stay in bed for about a day, and then an occupational therapy team came into my room and said, "Okay, you're gonna, bind you up, put some socks on you. We're gonna put an over hospital gown on you, and we're gonna take you out in the hallway." And I said, "For what?" And I said, "Oh, you're going for a walk." It was the scariest day of my experience, because I had pretty much gone from barely being able to climb stairs, barely able to walk to the back of the grocery store to get eggs. I would alter recipes based on how tired I was and which aisle I had enough energy to go to buy groceries and food. Thank goodness the Kroger at Mack Avenue in Vernier keeps eggs and milk in the front area now, so I didn't have to walk to the back to get them.
Yeah.
Because I would walk, take a break, walk, take a break, walk, take a break. It would take me an hour to pick up 3 or 4 things. She knows exactly what I went through during the waiting period.
Yeah.
But I'll go back and talk a little bit about my waiting period. I had always been a healthy person. You know, I worked in, for heaven's sakes, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, they hired happy, shiny, healthy faces. You know, I mean, I could easily walk 5-6 miles a day. You know, I went hiking in Sedona, in the mountains before. You know, I walked across Europe. And then one day I just couldn't walk through the neighborhood like I used to. I used to be able to do a 13-minute mile, and it just wasn't happening. So I went to my doctor, and I had asthma as a child, so we thought maybe I was having like a little flare up or something. And then she said to me, yeah, we'll put you on some asthma medication, things do not get better. And she said, something's wrong, so they put me on something a little stronger, a steroid. Something was still wrong, and she said, you know what, even though you're young, I'm gonna have you do a cardiac stress test, just to rule that out. And then she came back in the room, you know, gave me the referral. I went down the hall to a doctor, Spanish doctor. He has since moved back to Spain, but he was one of my lifesavers. Said, yeah, we got issues. I'm like, oh boy. And I said, well, why? I take care of myself. I eat, I do this. He's like, it could be a virus. It could just be, you have a bad heart. He's like, it's not lifestyle related. You just have a bad heart. I'm like, oh, thank you. So he ended up referring me to the doctors at Beaumont Medical Center, who were pretty good cardiologists. And they worked with me. Eventually, I had to have mitral valve surgery. I had both my mitral and my tricuspid valve repaired. So that took care of a lot of the symptoms for about a year. And then they all returned again. So they did ablations and they did other cardiac, minimally invasive surgeries for about 3 or 4 years to kind of like cash me up. And then one day I'm sitting in the hospital room and 3 or 4 cardiologists from Beaumont, like chairman, co-chairman, you know, medical director, walk into my room and said, there's nothing more we can do for you without damaging further the structure of your heart. They're like, so we'd like to present you with an option. We'd like to refer you to advanced heart failure at this particular hospital so they can work you up and take a look at you for a transplant. And I'm like, oh, what? Oh, no, not me. You know, I mean, that's the first thing that goes through your mind. No, you got the wrong person. I worked at the Heart Association for 5 years. I would know if I needed a transplant. And they're like, nope, you need a transplant. They're like, we're thinking you need a transplant. They never said I needed one. They just said they're going to let another doctor make that decision. Is basically what they said. So what they did do was implant an implantable defibrillator in me because I was starting to have really crazy arrhythmias. And so I, you know, work for the Archdiocese, and every year we have what is called the MLK Mass at Blessed Sacrament Cathedral right here in Woodward. So I'm like feeling really weird. I'm kind of sweaty. Remember, this is January. There's snow on the ground. So I'm like, oh, I'm kind of sweaty. This is not good. I forgot that I had the defibrillator in me. As I was in the back in the area where the priests and the other person serving in church service was getting ready, it fired. I'm like, I had no idea what it was, but I yelled and I ran to the side of the counter. So, you know, in true fashion, somebody would have got me aspirin, somebody called 911, somebody got me a wheelchair. So then finally they called, you know, 911, picked me up, took me down to Henry Ford. And then the heart failure team comes in and says, are you ready for that appointment to enter heart failure? And I'm like, yeah, I think it's time. Yeah, because they said that I started having these crazy arrhythmias that could be potentially fatal if unchecked. So in addition to the implant, they also put me on a 24/7 milrinone pump. Now, milrinone is a pumping drug. It basically keeps your heart pumping at a steady pace and keeps it healthy enough until eventually I got the transplant. So they started working me up for the transplant, and finally from January to April, I had gotten everything that I needed, all my tests, all the vaccines, you know, clear bill of health, that they put me on the list. And the doctor said, I don't want you to get your hopes up. You could be on this list for 18 months or more. You know, because I was basically outpatient, heart patient, because I could still work while I had this 24/7 pump on me. So imagine my surprise when less than 4 months later, 2.5 months later, I got a phone call saying, we found a match. And I'm like, no, you can't find a match. You were supposed to find a match 18 months from now because I just put 4 projects into queue. I mean, I'm trying to run a department for Southeast Michigan. I just put 4 projects into queue and, I just hired an employee and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they're like, no, we found a match. We need you in the hospital as soon as possible. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I had to shut my office down. So I sent out about, 20, 30 emails in the next 24 hours. And went under, got all prepped up, went under, and had an art in under 4 months. That is an unusual story.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Miracle.
yes.
It's a miracle.
But yeah.
It is a miracle. Now, here's where a lot of the faith comes in. One of the things that helped me through all of this over the many years was a strong faith community with strong faith leaders, faithful parishioners, and people who sit in the pews with you. So if there's anything that you can do for your transplant patients who are on the end to be receiving something, please help them build up their network. Please help them build up their prayer bank. Hold prayer villages, do online things, bless the person. I had 3 or 4 priests pray over me during the entire process. I had dozens of people saying meditative prayers for me. Make sure your people are prayed up.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
All right, that's what we gotta do.
Amen.
Make sure they have a good family network because recovery, because I am, from Ohio, I don't have a lot of family up here, just my church family. Make sure they're covered when they recover from that surgical process. Make sure as they're waiting for the organ, make sure somebody's sitting with them at home or at the hospital once in a while. Don't leave these people alone.
Amen.
Make sure they are loved.
Yes.
Make sure that they know that their faith can lead to hope. Even while they're waiting and they don't have word, they still need you to wait with them. So whether it's quick like me, which I'm unusual, because it's unusual to get a heart match in 4 months if you're not laying in a hospital bed, that is very unusual. Whether they're waiting then that quickly or whether they're waiting for a few years, they need you.
Amen.
Period. Yes. So that's what I got to say there. Now, how do we sustain ourselves through all of this? Because as ministers, you don't give what you don't have. Remember that. You got to pray for yourselves as well. One of the ancestors in our Catholic tradition is Sister Thea Bowman. Has anyone heard of her at all? Yes, Franciscan religious sister who broke barriers in the South. I think she came into the religious sisterhood around the 60s or so. She was the first African American in her religious order, PhD in English. She helped found the Institute of Black Catholic Studies at Xavier University in New Orleans, Louisiana, which of course is the only Catholic HBCU. But through her inspiration, here's what she says. If we are to serve, if we are to care, if we are to minister, we have to get right inside. And so let us pray. Spirit, touch me. Touch me with your grace. Touch me with your wisdom. Touch me with your love so that I can help somebody, so that I can serve somebody, so that I can bless somebody. Be the bridge over troubled waters so that I can be the balm in Gilead and be the hands of the Lord stretched out to heal. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living will not be in vain. Let us meditate on those words and carry them into our hearts and carry them into our homes, into our neighborhoods, and teach our children. Let us be practical, reaching out across the boundaries of race and class and status to help somebody, to encourage and affirm somebody, offering to the youth an incentive to learn and grow, offering to the downtrodden resources to help themselves. May our fasting be the kind that saves lives, and shares to the core that actually contacts the needy, gives heart to heart, that touches and nourishes and heals. Help me to move outside of myself, to love more like you loved, serve more like you served, and to be willing to lay my life down for another as you lay your life down for me. Give me courage to not only look the homeless in the eye, but also to ask them how they are doing or if they had a hot meal that day. Give me the strength to speak boldly about you and your love for me. Let me share how choosing to follow you has changed my life. Be with me as I reach out to someone who is suffering and take some of the suffering onto their shoulders. Lord, you call us to be your hands and your feet. Grant me the grace to actually do so. Amen.
Amen. That was powerful. That was powerful. Thank you for your passion. Our next partner spotlight is from the Interfaith Leadership Council of Metropolitan Detroit. Representing the council, we have Lisa Mason and Cynthia Tag. These retired during the pandemic after more than 40 years in the healthcare industry. In her most recent position, she served as Vice President for Program Partnerships at the Greater Detroit Area Health Council, where she worked to create collaborative initiatives and community engagement projects to improve population health. Lisa is passionate about volunteering and is currently a board member of the Detroit Institute of Arts Volunteer Council, the Common Ground, and the Interfaith Leadership Council of Metropolitan Detroit. Lisa is a longtime resident of Laurel Oak, where she was a founding member of a task force to establish a human rights commission. Dr. Cynthia Tag is the former vice president of community health services for Ascension Southeast Michigan. She also is passionate about increasing access to health education programs and services that seek to prevent disease, improve the quality of life, and promote health equity. She serves on various boards, including the Detroit-Wayne County Integrated Health Network Board, the Interfaith Health and Hope Coalition, Wayne State University College of Nursing Board of Visitors, Cabrini Clinic Board, and the Interfaith Health Equity Partnership of the Interfaith Leadership Council. Cynthia, a native Detroiter, graduated from Wayne State University with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and received a master's degree in public health from the University of Michigan and a doctorate in health administration from Central Michigan University. Dr. Tag resides in Detroit, is married, and has 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Please welcome Lisa Mason and Dr. Cynthia Tag.
Thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you all for being here to hear our story. I strategically asked to be placed on this point on the agenda because of another commitment I had this morning, but I can see now that was a big mistake because it's a really tough act to follow with those really heart-moving stories. Mine's a little more routine, and I hope I can get you excited about learning about the Interfaith Leadership Council. I'd like to share our website with you. Thank you so much, Jennifer. You never know if you can rely on technology, so please cross your fingers. I think the best way to get you familiar with our organization is to show you the website. Hopefully you'll want to explore it a little bit further and want to engage with us in some of our programs. Oh, so it's coming back. I know how it feels. Okay, wow, that's impressive. Okay. So this is the homepage of the Interfaith Leadership Council. You can see the URL at the top. It's DetroitInterfaithCouncil.com. And you can see a picture of our board there. And right very prominently on the front is the description, The Interfaith Leadership Council of Metropolitan Detroit is a civic organization of lay and clerical people whose shared highest and best values compel us to work towards a thriving community. And let's see if this, great. Just to give you a little sense of our mission and history, we were started, our roots are in a group called the Interfaith Partners. It was a group of clergy and lay people that came together after the 9/11 attack, a really moving event that made people feel like our faith has to pull us together to counteract these evil forces. And eventually it grew in 2010 to this Interfaith Leadership Council of Metropolitan Detroit that we know today. We are an incorporated nonprofit organization nurturing interfaith connection, conciliation, and education. And the cornerstone of who we are is bringing together all the different faiths to work together towards common goals. Excuse me while I grab my notes here. I want to just show you a couple of our key programs. A big program that we do is the Religious Diversity Journeys. Oops. There's a great video here that does a really great job. Can you hear that already? Yes.
What we do during Religious Diversity Journeys is take 25 students per school district on religious immersion experiences to different houses of worship throughout Metro Detroit. They visit a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a Hindu temple, a Sikh gurdwara, and we have a summation activity either at the Detroit Institute of Arts or the Holocaust Memorial Center. The kids really get a chance to have a safe place to go to learn about different faith traditions, where they can ask questions, they can feel comfortable interacting with faith leaders, where community volunteers are there cooking their lunch, where students their age from different faiths are present to interact with them. It's a really comfortable, fun environment for kids to develop a better understanding about different religions they might not know much about, or that they might have stereotypes about that need to be addressed. We don't encourage or require straight A students. What we really look for are kids that have a genuine curiosity in diversity, kids that want to become your student leaders, diversity club leaders, kids that will have the energy and the enthusiasm to take what they learn back to their buildings and spread it. It's always about answering questions, being open and honest, and letting kids experience what these different religious institutions are like. And the parents have had phenomenal feedback. They love the program. We try to have traditional food pertaining to that faith. Obviously, some faiths have more traditional food than others, but we try as hard as we can to offer the students the opportunity to taste something a little bit different that they might not get to try at home. I've never had a congregation turn us away. All of the congregations in Metro Detroit that I've approached have been overwhelmingly excited to host us. And they bring in hordes of volunteers, cooking in the kitchen, cleaning up, helping facilitate group discussions. Several different religious leaders are present and are just anxious to teach, because everybody wants people to understand their tradition and their cultures. And this is the perfect opportunity. And by the end of the day, what they come out with is more of this general understanding of, wow, these people might be very different from me in what they believe, but they are just like me in a lot of other ways. The reason that people hate each other and the reason that people don't understand each other is because they're afraid, right? So fear leads to misunderstandings, and fear leads to hate. So what I really hope is that you guys aren't afraid anymore, that you know you can ask questions, that you can explore other faiths, that it's okay to not know everything. And also, it's okay that we're all different, right? We may believe differently, we may eat differently, we may dress differently, we might worship in very different ways or not at all, but we're all trying to become the best person that we can be, however it is that we think that we should do that, and to work together as a community to better our world.
So that is one of our key programs, Religious Diversity Journeys. And I want to tell you about just a few of our other programs. Bridging to Belonging is certainly an important program right now in this world that we're living in, where so many of our basic values are being eroded and not being valued in our culture today. So there are common values that are part of all of the major faith traditions that we share and that we believe we can use to make a difference in this world where it's so desperately needed. So the Bridging to Belonging program is a way to do that in small groups, bringing people together to get to know each other in a more meaningful way than they have been able to do on their own. And we have trained facilitators that can present these programs to build teams and to bridge that sense of fear and difference, bring people together. That's just, those are two of our key signature programs. We also have an annual World Sabbath celebration. It was held this year on March 27th, and it was held at a Baha'i temple. So it's held every year at a different location. We have a celebration of all the different world faiths. That's another one of our programs. And then I'll share with you our Religious Leaders Forum. This is where leaders of all the different diverse faiths come together and share on significant moral and social values of their respective religions and find ways to come together as a community, again, to build bridges and to make a difference in our world. And a final program that I'll mention is what we call ASCA. So this is where you get an opportunity to explore different faiths by asking someone from that faith or from that community. So we've had recently ones that include Ask a Latter-day Saint, Ask a Sikh, Ask a Jewish person. It's a way, again, to break down some of those misunderstandings and barriers and to build more understanding. We do have a series of podcasts, Faith and Works podcasts, and there are a number of them. The first one was What is Becoming a Religion and Community Values? And there's a whole series of them. Most recently, our latest episodes concern things like the conflict between vaccines and religion, a very timely topic. We're talking about sacred children with us today and what in our humanity is sacred. We've had events. Most recently, we had an event at a Baha'i, at the Central United Methodist Church about immigration, another very timely topic. We had a panel of people talking about the immigration experience, what would be helpful to people that are going through the immigration experience, how can we assist them, what can we do about at-risk immigrants who need to adjust and settle into their new lives. So meaningful topics. Another one that we had earlier this spring was on holidays of different faiths, including Baha'i, the Jain, and the Zoroastrian faiths, ones that people had no understanding probably in the majority of our culture, and gave them an opportunity to understand, again, have insights and build bridges of understanding. So those are just a few of our programs. We have some literature that will be on the table. I hope that you'll take a chance to look at it further. And we have a newsletter that just comes out a couple times a month that gives you an opportunity to be familiar with our programs. So if you'd like to get that newsletter, you can sign up on our website, or you're able to sign up today. Just give us your email address and we'll put you on mailing. I want to introduce two of the partners that are here with me today. Reverend Stancy Adams is the chair of our board. Say hello, Stancy. She's shy. And Dr. Cynthia Tay, as you heard in the introduction, is my partner and co-chair on the Interfaith Health Equity Partnership. She's going to tell you a little bit more about that. Thank you for your time and attention.
Good morning. You'll have to tell you, I'm so inspired listening to the testimonies and the stories and the prayers. We recognize completely and totally, as I have throughout my life, that we are integrated beings. We're not just a mind or a body. We are mind, body, and spirit. And all those things work together to create health and a quality of life that we all so deserve. I co-chair with Lisa what we call our Health Equity Partnership. This is a committee of the Interfaith Leadership Council that formerly was called Health Committee. Very obviously a focus on health. We came together with the Interfaith Health and Hope Coalition and this organization, the Faith Leadership Council, to say, how can we bring our strengths together to make a positive impact on the health of the people and communities that we serve through a faith lens. And that's very important. I'm a nurse also, as has been stated earlier, you heard from the other Cynthia that was here today. But that's a physical or health-only science-based lens, and that's fine, that's good. But we know because we're so integrated, we want to have that faith lens. So our committee came together with the two organizations came together rather and decided that we could work together to have a greater impact. And so we named ourselves the Interfaith Health Equity Partnership. We are in the forming stage. We have a goal to be able to have programs and operationalize programs and services that will help increase awareness around health equity. And we know health equity involves helping individuals and communities to achieve the greatest quality of life to reach their health potential. And there are a lot of things that influence that. And again, spirituality and faith is also a very important part of that. So while we're focusing right now, we have our membership right now includes all of the major health systems in the area. They all have to do a community health needs assessment, and they all have some common themes. We see the common theme of mental health. We see a common theme that relates to increasing access and awareness around health education. And so these are ones that we are considering as we look at our how we will go forward. We also believe very strong in collaboration and partnerships, such as the one today with MOTEP. And I thank Ramona Chapman and her team for allowing us to be spotlighted here today. So you hear more about us. Lisa has already given you a good overview of the Leadership Council. And as we finalize and get ready to operationalize our programs out of the Interfaith Health Equity Partnership, you'll hear more about us. So thank you very much for a few minutes of your time today, and I'll be here for the rest of the program. So thank you very much. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.
Thank you so much, Cynthia and Lisa. That was a lot of valuable information, and hopefully everyone will get a copy of your handouts, and we'll be able to access your information online too, so we can find out more about what you're doing. It's powerful when you talk about, I think what Cynthia mentioned, mind, body, and spirit. It all works together to keep us healthy. Thank you. And now our prayer for patience and strength will be shared by Pastor Deshante Irving Sr. from the Rock of Ages Christian Ministries. Pastor Irving was born and raised in the city of Detroit. He has been married to Crystal Irving for 20 years, and they have 3 children, Dion, Deshante Jr., and Rachel. Pastor Irving has been preaching since he was 17 years old, and he currently pastors Rock of Ages Christian Ministries located on the west side of Detroit. Our prayer for patience and strength. Pastor Irving.
Amen. Thank you for that introduction. Hearing so many of the stories on today, very heart-touching. I'd like to thank Sister Tanya Smith for inviting me to be a part of this. She's been a friend and someone that walked me through my process. Back in October of 2017, I had a mild stroke, what they call a TIA. And during my stay in the hospital, as they were doing all types of tests and everything, they discovered that I had diminished kidney function. I believe at the time they told me my kidneys were about 50%. So they got me connected with a kidney doctor. And over the next 3 months on the medication, everything seemed to be going well. And so I had a appointment 3 months after because he was pleased with the signs. I went in, did blood work, and he was alarmed by the results. Had him come back 30 days later to redo some testing, and he told me that it seemed like my kidneys were diminishing at about 5% a month. So he told me I probably should be ready to be placed on dialysis, and I was like, whatever. Not doing it.
Exactly.
Went through that year, and then January of 2019, kidneys finally failed. And I had to go to the hospital, have this catheter placed in, and they told me it's time. But in that process, I had told my mom and my wife several times I was never doing dialysis. Misconceptions and some facts about dialysis just had me scared. But finally, my mother called me one day and said, "You have a wife and children to live with." And I said, whatever. So about 3 years on dialysis. In that time, I got worked up at a local hospital. Got placed on the kidney donor list here in Michigan. My doctor was not satisfied with the process and the timing, and got me set up on a transplant list down in Ohio. And I was put on the list in Ohio December 2021, and probably 5 weeks later, in January 26th of 2022, I was called and given a transplant.
Amen. Amen.
Pretty quick process. In that time, I believe that January, I was just placed as interim pastor of Rock of Ages and preached my first sermon as interim pastor that Sunday. That following Friday, I got the call to go to Ohio. And I was like, God, what are you doing? I'm just getting in position. And so was blessed to have a transplant. Everything was successful. My numbers are great right now. And thank God for that and everything that He's doing. So those of you that may not be donors, I encourage you to do so because I was not a donor prior to this. Just my own silly logic. But you never know how many lives you can save just by simply donating whatever organs and tissue or bones, whatever case may be, that you can donate and save the lives of many others. I believe you said your daughter said 55 individuals or donated to 55 individuals. So I want to live on in the lives of many others, even after I'm gone. So I encourage you. There were many times sitting in that dialysis chair that I had tears streaming down my face. Like, God, this is not what we talked about. But He, in His own way, continued to strengthen me and continue to allow me to go forward through that process. It was almost 3 years to the day. I started in January 2019, and I was transplanted to January 2022. So 3 years of patience, 3 years of having to endure. I have the scars on my arm to show that process. So those of you that may be watching, I encourage you to stick in there and hold on because God has a way of doing what we don't expect him to do, and when we don't expect him to do. So let me just pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather here on today. We ask that you would give strength to those that are going through this process, whatever they're waiting for, whatever type of transplant it is. We ask that you encourage them and allow them to know that you have not forsaken them, that you have not left them, that you are still there with them, God. Give them the strength to endure and give them the patience to endure. Allow them to be anxious for nothing, God, but allow them to know that you still love them, that you're still caring for them. Your word declares that you would never leave them nor forsake them, that you would continue to watch over them, and even in those times where they're discouraged, where they're depressed, where they're hanging their heads down. Allow them to know that you're still there and that Holy Spirit is there to comfort them and guide them. Yes, God, allow them to lift up their heads, God, and know that you're still fighting for them, God. We ask that you will continue to allow them to be in the presence of those that will wrap their arms around them and pray for them and encourage them, God. Allow them to be connected to individuals that will continue to speak words of affirmation, words of peace, words of prosperity over them, God, so that they will know that even in this, you're still good. Even in this, you're still able.
Yes.
Even in this, God, you're still worthy to be praised, God. Yes, God, and allow them to see that light at the end of the tunnel. That after they go through this process, after they go through these trying times, God, that there is a benefit and a reward. And we will be so ever grateful to give you all the glory, honor, and praise. In Jesus' name.
Yes, that's it. Amen.
Very good. Very powerful.
So at this point, I'm supposed to tell you that I'm going to introduce a keynote speaker. And I am going to introduce a keynote speaker, but there have been so many powerful speakers this morning. I want to bring up our keynote speaker, who is Elder Londell Cook of the Kingdom Life Ministries of Saginaw. Elder Cook is Gift of Life's 2022 Multicultural Difference Maker and a strong advocate of donation. Today, Elder Cook is going to share how his life was changed a few years ago, thanks to the selflessness of a donor and their family. Elder Cook.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
She said my name is Elder Londell Cook. And first, I just want to say that it has been an incredible honor to hear all of the amazing testimonies that have gone forth today. So many incredible stories of how lives have been changed tremendously through donation and the families that are attached to these incredible lives that have been changed. It's an incredible honor to be here to speak to you all today and to bring a greater level of awareness to the religious sector as it relates to donation and the incredible opportunity it affords its recipients and their families. I just want to also say that, yes, I received a transplant in 2019. A kidney transplant. I was diagnosed with HIV in 2005. And at that time, I did not know that I also was in hereditary hypertension. My grandmother had high blood pressure. She was on dialysis as well. I took care of her until she passed away from kidney failure. And little did I know that right behind that, I would end up being diagnosed with chronic kidney failure and have to go on dialysis at a very young age. I'm 38 years old. I was on dialysis for 12 years. When I was young, I remember listening to this lady over here, I can't remember your name, but she talked about how she was not happy when she got diagnosed and just kicked and screamed. Well, just imagine being in your early 20s, used to just running around, eating what you want, doing what you want, having an incredible life, friends, and then all of a sudden the doctor tells you that that is over and your diet is now basically cardboard because you can't have anything. You can't have chocolate, you can drink orange juice, you can drink it can be the summertime, you're not going to be drinking as much water as you like to, your skin is going to get dark, you're going to swell up, you're not going to feel attractive, you're going to be sick a lot. And me being young, and like my granddad used to say, hard-headed, I was not paying attention at all. So I was eating what I wanted, drinking what I wanted to drink, not really paying attention to the doctors. And then when I had to do dialysis, I was missing dialysis days, not very compliant at all, which unfortunately caused me to be on dialysis in a prolonged period of time. If you know anything about getting on the transplant list, it is heavily based on compliance. This is due to you needing to prove that you will not waste this incredible opportunity that someone else would definitely appreciate. Me being so young, I was very just not listening until I had to listen. And you get so close to death, like I was many times before. I believe it was in 2008. I was very sick. I had to go on life support. I was in a coma. And I remember flatlining for about 8 minutes. They brought me back to life. When they brought me back to life, I remember waking up restrained with tubes down my throat and having to go through that process. Of course, like this man of God said, there was a catheter placed. I have what seems to look like bullet holes on both sides of my chest from catheters being placed on both sides of my chest, fistula in my arm, failed surgeries in my arm. Many different things happened over the course of 12 years from being on dialysis. But I joined a church about 17 years ago called Kingdom Life Ministries. And when I joined this church, I met a pastor there, and he gave me a word when he first met me. He said that the Lord says there is a disease working in your blood. He didn't know me. He said, but the Lord says that this illness that you have will not kill you, but God will use it for His glory. And I didn't really know him at all. He didn't know that I had HIV. He didn't know. And at that time, I wasn't even on dialysis. I had no sense of I was perfectly healthy. But little did I know shortly after I would meet him in 2006, that word would begin to start moving and things would start happening in my life. I became very sick after that, didn't have to go on dialysis. And while being at that church, I met a young lady by the name of Annetta Williams. And she's not young, y'all. She's older than me. But she became like an aunt to me. And she would always pray with me, and I would visit her often, and we are very close today. And she was with me throughout the process of my kidney failure. I tried many different methods, peritoneal dialysis, and different methods to try to stay healthy while going through this time. And while going through those times, she was with me, and the church family was with me. And in 2019, after being on dialysis for about 12 years, her brother contracted bacterial meningitis out of nowhere from his job. He was engaged to be married within the next 7 months. The bacterial meningitis took him out within 5 days. And she was at the hospital with her family. And she said while they were crying and he was just there on life support, she said she heard something in her ear say, "Tell them Londell needs a kidney." And the daughter of, which is her niece, was saying that we don't know, we're crying, they're going through different things. And the nurse there was saying, well, do you want to donate any organs? And the daughter was saying, no, we don't want to do that. But then Annetta said, I know somebody that needs a kidney. And when she said that, the nurse said, well, is he on the transplant list? I was not on the transplant list at this time. And she said, well, I don't know if he's on the transplant list or not. And she said, well, we're probably not going to be able to do it. And the daughter said, we will not donate any of my father's organs if we don't see if we can donate to Londale.
Oh, wow.
So she, the nurse, because they wanted the organs because he was perfectly healthy, and they called my doctor. My doctor ended up calling the dialysis center where I was to try to get a hold of me. And they talked to me and asked me, was I on the list, and just asked me a bunch of questions. And I said, no, I wasn't. And they said, well, we'll call you back. Well, Annetta called me on the phone and she said to me, well, you know, my brother Willie, he's not doing well, he's passing, but somebody's gonna be calling you about a transplant. Now, mind you, she's sitting next to her brother who is dying.
Wow.
And she's thinking about me. So they called me on the phone that day. I was at dialysis that day. They said, when you leave, we need you to come down to the U of M Ann Arbor, fill out some paperwork, and let's get some blood work for you and see if we can get you worked up. So I went down to the U of M that day. They did the blood work on me, talked to me. And the lady that was my kidney transplant coordinator at that time, she said, this is very unusual because we don't do these kinds of things on site like this, especially for someone who's not transplanted. She said, but for some reason, you have no idea how many emails I've seen in the past hour with your name on them. She said, so they began to work me up. And she said, I don't want you to get your hopes up. I just want you to know that we're trying to get this process going through for you. So I left there. I went home. I was on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday dialysis days. And I had started ranging from the time I started dialysis, I was going from 3 hours to 3.5 hours and 4 hours and back to 3 hours and 45 minutes. And all that time I was trying to maintain a full-time job. But as you know, the sicker you get, the less work you can do. And then you go from making a certain amount of money down to making not enough money. Yeah. So in that process, I lost my cars, I lost apartments, places to stay, and I did not have the strongest family support system, but I did have a strong church foundation. I did have a strong church family who definitely surrounded me during this time. So I went home, spent some time there, and it was probably the next 2 days. They called me and they said, we need you to come to the hospital. This was probably on a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. It was March 27th of 2019. They called me, they said, we want you to come to the hospital. We're going to take some more tests. And they put Willie, who was my transplant, my sponsor, the donor, they put him on life support where he was to keep his body alive long enough to test his kidneys. They assigned him his own nurse who sat with him. And it was so incredible that the doctors at U of M Ann Arbor worked off the clock all night to test.
What God?
The next morning, they called me and they said, miraculously, you are 100% matched.
Wow. Praise God.
And I went from being on dialysis for 12 years to being not on the transplant list at all. For them pushing me through and being transplanted in 48 hours. So March 28th of 2019, I was transplanted and I woke up and like you said, they didn't give me 5 days or no days. The day after the surgery, I got up, they were in there tying me up and pushing me in the hallway because they said you have to start moving. And within that next day or two, I was at home. And from then, I have been on fire. I was always running and doing things for God and always preaching and everything while I was sick. But afterwards, I absolutely remained on fire. I got a brand new charge to do more things. I am a 2-time published author. I worked alongside of State Representative Brayback and the Gift of Life Mission, along with several influential minds and leaders to get written into law this year, the HOPE Act, the HIV Organ Procurement Equity Act, which now allows HIV Michiganders who are living in Michigan to now become donors on the transplant list to those who are waiting with HIV.
Amen.
This is something so along with those accomplishments, there are several other things that I do. I speak in and out of this in different colleges and different churches, and doing what I'm doing now, along with singing. And I just want to be here to talk to you to let you guys know to join my testimony with the several others that have gone for it today, and just let everyone know that if you are not a donor, donation saves lives.
Yes.
It absolutely gives the person who is waiting a second chance to do the things that they may not have been able to do. And when you are dying, so to speak, or when you are ill, there's a level of sobriety that comes upon your mind. And you start rehearsing all of the times and opportunities that you've had that you may have taken for granted before you were in those current circumstances. And when you receive a second chance or another opportunity to step out and do things differently, you definitely take advantage of that. I was not on the donor list, and I really wasn't considering it. It was just because the way our minds work and some of the bad theologies that are passed down about donation, you really are not aware of it until it is you that is in need of that particular gift of life. And so I want to admonish those who are not who are not on the donors list, or know people that are not, to do education and help them to understand that it is not what you think it is, but it is absolutely another chance for this person and their families to see that person move on. It's incredible that I have a relationship with my donor's family. And I believe the Sunday that I did return to church, and I just want to say something that's very important, that it's so important that you have a support system, because once you have finished being transplanted, for those who are kidney recipients, I couldn't eat anything larger than a gallon of milk. And for about 60 days, I needed care. You can't do much on your own. But it's so important, and it's so incredible that I have a relationship with my donor's family, because my donor's fiance came to my church. She traveled to come see me. And I have a picture, and she hugged me. And she said that, I remember listening to my fiance's family talk about you and how inspirational you are. And even though I've never met you, I couldn't be more proud to see my fiance live on in someone else. And she hugged me, and for no other reason, if for another reason, that I run forward and I do what I do, is because the life that I'm carrying is not my own, but there's an expectation for me to succeed in whatever I do from the people who are attached to the gift of life that I received. And I hope that I have inspired you today. God bless you.
Should have called you the preacher up there. Thank you so much. You just let us know what the grace of God can do. And that's been echoed throughout this whole program. This has been inspiring and uplifting for me this morning, and I hope it has been for you. I want to just thank all the program presenters. All of you have been fantastic, powerful testimonies, the inspiring words, the encouraging words, the information that we can obtain and know more about what you do and what you have to offer to transplant recipients. And this has just been marvelous. We have truly been blessed today. And those of you who didn't speak, you've been a great audience here today. And thank you for attending. And I hope that every one of the faith leaders that are present today, just as you've done this morning, will go out and share the message of organ and tissue and eye donation with your congregations in the next few weeks. And also, everybody, please check your heart. If you don't have a heart on your driver's license, you can use the QR code, I believe, on the program, and sign up today if you're not already signed up. And if you have additional questions, you can always contact Gift of Life at info@golm.org. Now, before we leave, I understand there was a raffle, and I want to announce the winners of the raffle. The prize is a copy of this book, which is Letters to My Departed Son by Connie Spite. Connie is a donor mom, and her son Brandon was an organ donor, and his picture was on one of our brochures, one of the Gift of Life brochures for several years. So now I have 3 winners. Is that correct, Tanya? The first person is on virtually with us. That's Donna Knuckles. So Donna, get in touch with Tanya over at the MOTEP office or at Gift of Life to receive your gift. The second is Martell Grace, who is here in person. Ah, Martell, okay. See Tanya for your gift, congratulations. And Autumn Harris is our third. Okay, she had to leave. Okay, well, let her know she is a winner today. Okay, so thank you all so much once again. God bless everyone. Be safe and enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. God bless.